Israeli hostages by Hamas, highlighting the tough negotiations that led to a ceasefire. In exchange, Israel will release Palestinian detainees, with further talks planned for a permanent end to the conflict. Vivek Ramaswamy is expected to leave the Department of Government Efficiency to run for Ohio governor. Sources also told CBS News that Ramaswamy wore out his welcome amid reports of friction with staff. Dave Chappelle hosted the first 2025 episode of SNL with musical guest Glorilla, covering topics like California wildfires and President-elect Trump, reminding him at one point that, in his words, quote, "the whole world is counting on you," end quote. And the Bills are heading to the AFC Championship game. Buffalo defeated the Baltimore Ravens at Snowy Highmark Stadium in the divisional round. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Shop limited-time deals during Lowe's Pro Savings Days. Get a free adjustable stand when you buy a DeWalt 12-inch miter saw. That's a $229 value. Valid 1/13 through 1/24, while supplies last.
Is this the tackle?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The road to the Super Bowl for the Rams ended in Philadelphia. The Eagles hung on for a 28-22 win. Had the Rams won, they would have hosted the NFC Championship game next Sunday at SoFi against Magic Johnson's Washington Commanders. Last night, the Lakers played their first game in the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers beat the Lakers 116-102. 4 straight win for the Clippers, 21 points and 19 rebounds for Ivica Zubac. The winning streak for USC's women's basketball team is now at 13. They pulled out a 73-66 win Sunday at Indiana, 22 points for USC star Juju Watkins. Tonight in Atlanta, a potential history-making moment. Notre Dame and Ohio State are meeting up for the College Football National Championship. Notre Dame coach Marcus Freeman is on the doorstep of becoming the first African-American coach to win the Division I national title in football. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is for all the folks who appreciate follow-through. Here's a quick recap of the KBLA Talk 1580 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. More than 6.4 million Southern Californians viewed our climate justice billboards and bus shelters. Another 1.5 million people listened to and or downloaded our weekly conversations with African American climate experts. Our KBLA Climate Justice web portal had 2.8 million unique visitors. Thousands more attended our 7 climate justice community events. More than 9.3 million riders saw our climate care messaging on metro buses and trains. And 39 million Americans accessed our C-SPAN Climate Justice Symposium. All told, our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign exceeded 471 million total impressions. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks all of our 2024 Climate Justice partners: LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Sierra Club, California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., the California Wellness Foundation, MWD, AQMD, and the Port of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money P. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis. First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. Happy MLK Day, y'all. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First. And my first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God. Asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders and keeping it moving. Okay, happy birthday, happy observed birthday to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. There will be no parade today. However, there could also be a thing called an inauguration. I saw Democracy Now! Had posted something, a sign from the protests that took place that were, of course, demonstrating against this particular inauguration. And someone was holding a sign that said, "Worst birthday ever." So we're going to find the silver lining and unpack the not so silver lining. And yeah, apparently the Lord, the Most High, would like me to speak today because between 5:30 a.m. and right now, every single one of my guests has canceled, other than Sahara Ali. So we will have our Mindful Mondays. I guess the Lord is opening up space on this microphone. Maybe he wants you to speak. I don't know. Maybe he wants Miles to talk. We will find out. Miles got his eagles. That's foul. You know what? Is that called gloating? Is it?
No, it's not gloating. We won the game. No.
Yeah, but you in L.A. This is where you stay at.
I was in L.A. when we won the game. Yeah.
I know.
When you had a chance to win the game, I was in L.A. I wasn't running from L.A. My outfit.
All right.
It's nice, though, don't it?
All right, Eagles. It does look very nice on you. Very patriotic. Kind of, it's giving, it's giving Inauguration Day. Okay. Let
fight
me
we
breathe.
Win.
Yeah, well, and fight you did. We live to fight another day. And stepping in the clutch, my every other Friday correspondent, the founder of ES Advisors. He's worked many a campaign and many a public policy effort. Ed Sanders, good morning.
Hey, Dominique. Good morning to you.
Happy worst birthday ever, a.k.a. Doomsday.
It really is. Today, I mean, you remind me, today is my brother Justin's birthday, so I got to send
happy birthday,
Justin.
Justin.
Shout out to him. And to your point, we gotta get through the inauguration and celebrate the birthday. So
yeah, well, we won't have a parade. It's been rescheduled until the 17th of February, and I just found out that is because it's President's Day. So we have a 3-day weekend, and they're going to do the parade thingy here in L.A. But I saw one of Dr. King's daughters on Instagram saying she's glad that the inauguration is today because it will create contrast between what's right and what's not. What do you think? What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, this is, the MLK weekend. And, hopefully, I always think about like the young people and what they're learning. And, you hope that throughout the week from at least around January 15th that they got some good remembrance about the civil rights movement and Dr. King. I know kids were just coming back to school from the fire, so that may have pushed some things back. But it is awful to see this administration come in on this weekend, though.
Yeah, I know that you are at a function for your children, Ed Sanders, and so I appreciate you checking in. I think we have some traffic issues with folks coming to the rescue, so I believe Dr. Gerald Horne can stay on with me for the hour. So I shall let you go to your soccer tournament. But what do you want to say to those of us who are really feeling like it's doomsday today?
Well, I was watching Saturday Night Live on Saturday, and if you hadn't seen Dave Chappelle's monologue, I thought he did I mean, Dave Chappelle is just the best in the business. And his message was to Trump, do better, right? You have sort of the juxtaposition of the King holiday, but you also have a nation in mourning over the death of President Jimmy Carter. And while you can quibble over how strong of a President Jimmy Carter was, there's really no question about the moral character of him as a man. And, that was evident, really in his post-presidency years. And Dave's message to Trump was, do better this time. Everyone that didn't vote for you doesn't mean that they're not Americans. That, the truth of the matter is everyone's rooting for you to do well because we need you to, because you're the president.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I thought it was an inspiring monologue.
Yeah. Okay. If you say so.
I know, but you hope that
fool me once, right?
So.
Okay. Well, Ed, I appreciate your stepping in the clutch, and thank you for that perspective this morning.
Good deal. All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Dominic.
All right. Talk to you soon. Everybody stepping up. I love that so much for us. Ed's doing dad duties, girl dad and boy dad, and Dr. Horne is doing scholar duties. He is an author of over 100 books and scholarly articles. He is one of our top historians in the nation out of University of Houston. Good morning, Dr. Gerald Horne.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh man, you're always invited. How are you? How are you processing this day? I mean, it is. Should I say first, happy Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. birthday observed?
Well, obviously, it's ironic, perversely ironic. I mean, the scheduling gods are playing a trick on us by having the Dr. King holiday coincide with the inauguration of the Tangerine Tyrant. And I'm not even sure if the people of the United States, people of the world, are ready for what's about to ensue beginning this afternoon. I expect mass deportations to begin with. Now, of course, there'll be efforts to tie it up in court. But as we all know, Mr. Trump helped to stack the courts during his first term as president number 45. And the Canadians are obviously buckling their seatbelts. They expect tariffs, which could devastate their economy. The situation is grim and glum, in short.
Dr. Horne, there's so many people that feel like that once the president-elect is sworn in, he will not do things on the scale that he has said. We've seen some backing off of the deporting of millions, but yet I'm hearing about raids planned in Chicago for Tuesday, and then I'm hearing, no, those are canceled, and then I'm hearing they're back on again. Some are speculating that those tariffs are only a negotiating tool and will not be carried out across the board. It sounds like you don't buy that either of those arguments or the minimization of what Mr. Trump said he would do.
No, I don't buy it at all. Like Mr. Trump, I used to live in New York, and I remember the days when the subway authorities, they would threaten to raise subway fare by $2, and then it would be raised by $1, and people would breathe a sigh of relief. But actually, that's what they intended to begin with. And so Mr. Trump, first, he says that NATO countries should raise defense spending by 2 to 3% of gross domestic product. And then he raised it to 5%, but actually he wants to get it to 2% so that they can send more money to Lockheed Martin and to Raytheon and the other members of the U.S. military-industrial complex. So, yes, it may be a negotiating ploy, but that doesn't mean we're off the hook.
Yeah. He says that he's going to sign 100 executive orders today. Is that even possible? And how does that compare to previous presidents?
Well, it's extraordinary. maybe he'll get writer's cramp with regard to signing so many executive orders.
That's what I was thinking. Does he even have the stamina to sign 100 executive orders?
But I think that a tell was outgoing President Biden issuing these preemptive pardons for Anthony Fauci, for Congressman Benny Thompson, for Congresswoman Liz Cheney, for now Senator Adam Schiff, for those who testified against Mr. Trump at the January 6th hearings, for General Mark Milley, who made critical comments. Obviously, Mr. Biden has reason to believe that there will be investigations of these leading figures that could lead to their imprisonment or their retribution, or retribution visited against them, as Mr. Trump has promised.
I mean, it's interesting because I heard Senator Schiff tell our own Tavis Smiley that he didn't want a preemptive pardon.
Well, I doubt if he's going to refuse it.
Can you even refuse that? Like, no, please don't keep me out of jail. Yeah. Yes. Well, when we come forward, I want to get your thoughts on Biden's pardoning of Marcus Garvey and others, but not Marilyn Mosby, at least not as far as I know, Leonard Peltier and others that are actually still with us. We'll talk about that and more on this Inauguration Day, MLK Day, on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's.
The Parkinson's Foundation knows that the disease doesn't just affect the diagnosed. It affects everyone who supports and helps care for them.
If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers.
We can help you understand the disease
and give you tips for living a better life.
Find your answers at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
To our beloved greater Los Angeles community affected by the devastating wildfires, we stand with you. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, our hearts go out to those who've lost loved ones, homes, businesses, belongings, and precious memories. In these challenging times, we're here to keep you informed and connected. For the latest updates, resources, and ways to help your neighbors in need, stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580. Together, we'll rebuild. Together, we'll recover. Together, we are Los Angeles strong. KBLA Talk 1580. Your voice, your community, your station. Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Dr. Gerald Horne. I just want to take this moment to thank you. You're calling in the clutch. You were already scheduled, but you call in earlier. And over the years, whether it be the front page on the other Black-owned station here or even Street Science, you've always, showed up for me and for our community in these moments, and it just means the world to me, Dr. Horne.
Well, it's my duty. After all, we are paying rent for our existence on this planet, and that's particularly appropriate to mention on Dr. King Day, who did more than his share so that we could be in the position that we are today. So what I'm doing is quite small in comparison.
So what do you make of of the pardon of Marcus Garvey? I actually was pretty surprised by that in a way.
Well, I was surprised too, because I hadn't read any press commentary preceding the pardon. As I'm sure your audience knows, Marcus Garvey was born in Jamaica circa 1887, died in London circa 1940. In between, he built and led this largest mass organization of black people with branches not only in the United States, but in the Caribbean, Southern Africa, East Africa, etc. He ran afoul of the U.S. authorities in the 1920s, convicted, jailed, and then deported because of charges of mail fraud. But since that time, in the 1920s, there has been a clamor for him to be pardoned, and finally, Mr. Biden listened to the call.
Yeah, well, Marcus Garvey's not with us anymore. How will this be impactful? Is it for his family? Is it symbolic? Like, why is this important?
I think it's symbolic. I think it's for his family, and I think it's a recognition that perhaps the U.S. authorities did not do the right thing when they prosecuted him in the 1920s. And I would say better late than never. Yeah,
I was happy to hear that. A friend texted me that she wished that he would pardon the living, or at least commute their sentences. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think before the break, you mentioned Leonard Peltier, the Native American warrior who's still in prison. Even the prosecutor, the man who prosecuted Leonard Peltier, has come out and called for him to be pardoned, for him to be released. I'm disappointed that thus far, Mr. Biden has not done the right thing, but he has a couple more hours. So let's see what happens.
A couple more hours. He also has not pardoned Marilyn Mosby, and there's been a pretty robust campaign to get her pardoned on, basically they took her down on a technicality around a mortgage application. And so far, Biden is ignoring that. I'm sure the right is losing their minds that he's pardoned Dr. Fauci. So if who's their favorite supervillain. So if you're going to go that far, why not a pardon for someone like Mosby?
Well, as I said, we have a few more hours to see what Mr. Biden will do. Recall that it was Marilyn Mosby who in Baltimore helped to prosecute the police officer responsible for the death of black man Freddie Gray. Her prosecution of these police officers obviously incurred the wrath of the law enforcement community, and they struck back with a vengeance when she was then put on trial and convicted for a technicality, as you put it. And so I trust that Mr. Biden will do the right thing on his way out the door.
Oh, gosh, I hope you're right. The NAACP calling for it, Angela Rye, all these high-profile folks, I would have, he definitely knows about it. He just is so far ignoring it. And how significant do you think, these preemptive pardons are? One of the arguments that Schiff made for supposedly not wanting it is that it sets a bad precedent that Trump could pardon everybody and their brother. But to me, that wasn't a concern, because when has Trump ever followed precedent?
Well, surely. Mr. Schiff should know that the way the courts are evolving, or devolving, I should say, there are one set of standards, one set of precedents for conservatives, another set of standards and precedents for the rest of us. And look at Mr. Trump. Look at all the wrongdoing he was involved in. Look at the documents case at Mar-a-Lago. Look at his role in the January 6, 2021 attempted coup, which Special Counsel Jack Smith went into some detail about. He's not getting even a slap on the wrist for that sort of wrongdoing. Right. And in any case, I think that there is a possibility that the Justice Department under Mr. Trump will challenge those pardons of Adam Schiff and others in court. So Adam Schiff should be on guard.
What do you think the odds of a challenge? Well, I guess the Trump people pack the court, so who knows? But it seems like presidential pardon is one power that's pretty much been not even an issue. I mean, that's one of those superpowers that presidents have. They're not kings or potentially queens, but the pardon power and the commutation power seems to have been pretty undisputed thus far in history, right?
Oh, I agree. But I think we're entering a new era. That's what people need to realize, that just because there was a president yesterday, that doesn't mean that president will continue past noon on January 20th, 2025. We're in a new ball game. We're in a new era, and so people need to get used to it. That doesn't mean that Mr. Trump's Justice Department will be able to overturn these pardons. I'm just warning folks that don't be surprised if they challenge it in court, and don't be surprised if some judge in Amarillo, Texas, decides to agree with them.
Yeah, you're right. Man, there's so much to cover, Dr. Horne. I've been really dismayed that Trump is getting credit for restoring TikTok. I know that's stupid. It should be a little thing, but he's the one that called for it to be banned. He's the one that created the so-called Red Scare that made Congress ban TikTok, and then he changed his mind, and apparently he's in cahoots with the CEO of TikTok, who will be at the inauguration, and people's memories are so short that they're lionizing this man because he saved TikTok. Someone on Instagram put it so well, it's like a toxic ex who creates the problem and then wants to be given a medal for fixing the problem they created.
Well, he's both arsonist and firefighter. He's both a poacher and gamekeeper. And we all know that with Mr. Trump, you have to follow the money. Already there's been scuttlebutt that First Buddy, Elon Musk, may be allowed to buy TikTok, or Republican donor Larry Ellison of Oracle of Northern California may be buying TikTok. And in any case, you have to wonder if Mr. Trump or Donald Trump Jr. or Eric will get a cut of the deal on what TikTok is sold. This is the sort of corruption that we're involved in. As you know, Mr. Trump now has circulated his cryptocurrency that has increased his wealth on paper by billions of dollars. This has taken place quite recently. And as I said, we're in a brand new ball game with regard to the United States of America.
Well, I don't know. We've talked about this for months, and at this point, it's happening, right? It's happening. They've moved it inside. I guess this is meant to be the coldest day, cold day in hell, the coldest day, inauguration day since Reagan. But the show will go on.
Well, of course, there have been rumors that he moved it indoors because he was afraid that there wouldn't be a large crowd assembled outdoors, which would be embarrassing to him. But recall that there was a president of the United States in the 1840s who spoke outdoors on a cold day and then died a few months later. So perhaps Mr. Trump read about that story.
Read? You mean watched it on TV?
Oh, sorry. Pardon me.
Yeah, but also I was thinking, that's what I thought, that they don't want him to be out in the open, given that we've had a couple of alleged assassination attempts. So I'm not sure what it is, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't impact the fact that he will be at high noon now the 47th president of the United States. And again, I've seen people, black people, some of them celebrating on social media. And I just think you just don't know exactly, many do, but some just don't know what we've signed up for. More conversation with Dr. Gerald Horne when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Donald Trump will be sworn in today as the 47th President of the United States. Trump is scheduled to be sworn in around 11:45 a.m. Eastern before giving remarks. Coming up in the business week ahead, today is a stock market holiday with equities and bonds markets closed in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Tomorrow brings fourth quarter results from Netflix. Other big names reporting on Tuesday include United Airlines and Capital One. Cold weather is expanding through the central and eastern U.S. this week. Some areas like the Dakotas and Minnesota will see sub-zero temperatures, and record lows could be set through Wednesday. And the World Economic Forum is holding its annual meeting this week in the Swiss town of Davos. Thousands of politicians, executives, investors, and bureaucrats will be on hand to discuss the state of the world, its business, and conflict. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Shop limited time deals during Lowe's Pro Savings Days. Get a free adjustable stand when you buy a DeWalt 12-inch miter saw. That's a $229 value. Valid 1/13 through 1/24 while supplies last.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The road to the Super Bowl for the Rams ended in Philadelphia. The Eagles hung on for a 28-22 win. Had the Rams won, they would have hosted the NFC Championship game next Sunday at SoFi against Magic Johnson's Washington Commanders. Last night, the Lakers played their first game in the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers beat the Lakers 116-102. 4 straight win for the Clippers, 21 points and 19 rebounds for Ivica Zubac. The winning streak for USC's women's basketball team is now at 13. They pulled out a 73-66 win Sunday at Indiana, 22 points for USC star Juju Watkins. Tonight in Atlanta, a potential history-making moment. Notre Dame and Ohio State are meeting up for the College Football National Championship. Notre Dame coach Marcus Freeman is on the doorstep of becoming the first African-American coach to win the Division I national title in football. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you in tough times, connecting you with resources and what you need to know. Evacuation shelters are located in the Pasadena Civic Center, the Dream Center in LA, the Westwood Recreation Center, and many more. You can call 311 for details. Santa Anita Park in Arcadia is a pop-up mutual aid hub where you can pick up anything from clothing to food and hygiene supplies. If you're in Los Angeles County and in need of food, call Omni Ministries at 310-631-1557. Donations can be made to Zelle, Omni Ministries, Inc. at yahoo.com. Parking Lot I outside of Rose Bowl Stadium is a pop-up mutual aid hub where you can pick up everything from clothing to food to hygiene supplies for free. To volunteer or donate to help victims of the fire, contact the LA Emergency Network at enla.org. The Cochran Firm and Ivy McNeil, Wyatt Purcell and Diggs, Jasmine Canick, and others have launched a GoFundMe specifically targeting Altadena. Visit LA Fires, the impacted Black community urgently needs help on GoFundMe, and donate to help Black evacuees fighting for survival. Airbnb is offering free temporary housing to people displaced by the fires. Call 211 to sign up. The LA Chamber of Commerce is stepping up to help you sort out insurance claims and other paperwork. Reach them at 213-580-7500. South LA Cafe has free groceries, clothing, and water available at 1700 Browning Boulevard in LA. Track their giveaways or volunteer through their Instagram at South LA Cafe. U-Haul is donating short-term storage free of charge for 30 days to evacuees. Shelter for small or large animals can be accessed by calling 211. A Black-led coalition of community organizations is offering support and resources in the Altadena area at the Flint Ridge Center at 236 West Mountain Street in Pasadena. For comprehensive lists of resources for housing, food, shelter, and more, visit Mutual Aid LA Network on Instagram. Praying for LA and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Noted historian Dr. Gerald Horne is on with me this morning on this MLK Day / Inauguration Day / Doomsday, as I like to call it, or worst birthday ever. Let's talk a little bit about Israel, the ceasefire deal that took effect yesterday, and how you see that. Certainly it's been not just a factor in this election, but also just one of the scariest things I've ever watched in my entire life for these past 15 months. The slaughter of so many civilians, so many women and children, and just the way this deal came down. Put it in perspective for us, Dr. Gerald Horne.
Well, certainly since October 7, 2023, there have been tens of thousands of Palestinians that have been slaughtered. However, I think that in the wake of this recently crafted and negotiated deal, there might be some opportunities for the progressive movement. I've been monitoring Israeli media, and the Israeli right wing is really upset. They're upset with Mr. Trump. They're upset with the Israeli lobby, which they feel did not push aggressively enough against this deal. They've been spilling tea with regard to Mr. Trump's negotiator, Steve Witkoff. They claim that he has basically been bribed by the Qataris. That is to say, the folks who were participating in this negotiation process. They say that Steve Witkoff had a white elephant real estate deal in Manhattan, and the Qatari Sovereign Wealth Fund, worth about $800 billion, took it off his hands for a cool $623 million. And I think that this bespeaks the fact that there are rifts in the Trump coalition. We already know about the rifts about HB1 visas, these visas that Elon Musk and the tech bros are in favor of, that allows them to exploit Indian engineering labor. The MAGA base is hotly against this. Steve Bannon, the former advisor to Mr. Trump, said he was going to chase Elon Musk out of the Trump inner circle before Inauguration Day. Now, I don't think that's happening. But it's
speaking of follow the money, yeah.
There's evidence of how there are rifts already emerging that I think are going to weaken the Trump base and that we can take advantage of.
Honestly, Dr. Horne, that is one thing that's my tiny glimmer of hope. Maybe not so tiny. The fact that it really is a den of thieves, and the corruption and infighting and incompetence of these folks may be the only thing that spares us. As one family member pointed out, where's the wall? And where's the self-driving car and all of the other things that Musk has promised technologically that have turned out to be nothing more than hype? So, the Teslas do have fiery crash problems, and they do not drive themselves, even though year after year he says they will, and there is no wall. But on the other hand, they seem more prepared, and they seem to have an army of folks with this Project 2025 plan ready to go. So I'm hopeful, but also worried.
Well, I think that that's the proper perspective. Speaking of Waymo and these self-driving cars, your audience should know that there was a piece in the Washington Post just the other day that suggested that these self-driving cars have difficulty recognizing pedestrians in crosswalks. So be careful as you cross the street and you don't see someone.
I did not see that. Don't stand in front of one. I did get stuck behind one in San Francisco, though, because when they stop, there's no driver, and they just sit there, back, also, blocking the lane.
About women in these self-driving cars with these men who follow them because you can't tell the self-driving car to change the route, for example. They follow them all the way home. I mean, so I don't think Elon Musk and the tech bros have thought through this process. And you are correct to suggest that these folks are going to be at each other's throats. And certainly, to the extent that they're fighting each other, that'll leave less time and energy for them to fight us.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Were you surprised, impressed? What did you make of President Biden mentioning oligarchy in his parting speech?
Well, there's a precedent for that. Recall that it was Dwight Eisenhower, the symbol of the military-industrial complex. He was a former general, as you know, who warned in his outgoing speech about the perils of the military-industrial complex. That's, in fact, what helped to popularize that phrase that we all use. I just used it a few minutes ago. So it doesn't surprise me that Mr. Trump used that term, and certainly he could be accused of being Captain Obvious, because given the role of Elon Musk, who's stationed himself at Mar-a-Lago, who's been involved in diplomacy with the Russians and the Iranians, at the same time, he's in bed with China. A good deal of the Tesla cars are made in China for export. You could say the same thing for Miriam Adelson, a major funder of Mr. Trump and Mr. Netanyahu. Her casinos are in Macau under the administration of the People's Republic of China. So once again, there are going to be rifts and contradictions and tensions within this Trump base that we can take advantage of.
Yeah, and I think that so-called broligarchy is going to be on display at the inauguration. It seems they all have front row seats, including the president or the CEO of TikTok, right? Front row, and highly sought after, by the way, because there's so many million plus donors that they ran out of party favors to give out for your $1 million donation.
And of course, there's the Zuckbot, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, who's thrown overboard his DEI policies, diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, who's engineered a layoff in his Menlo Park headquarters. Has had a disproportionately negative impact upon black workers at Facebook and at Meta in particular. Once again, we're entering a brave new world, and I trust and I hope that our audience is ready for it.
I mean, not to mention this guy ended fact-checking. I love all the posts that are on Meta now where people are saying, that Mark Zuckerberg, who has two heads, or Mark Zuckerberg, who, slept with a cow, is no longer fact-checking. People are really doing the most. And the internet wins the day on that one. But we do have Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg in the front row, along with this guy, Xiao Chu, who's the TikTok CEO. And also, all of the presidents will be showing up, but not all of the folks that would traditionally come. Nancy Pelosi will duck out. Michelle Obama said, no, thank you. Is that significant?
Oh, I think so. And I think it's a good sign, because why should they come to this spectacle when we know that sooner rather than later, Mr. Trump probably is going to try to prosecute Nancy Pelosi? That is to say, the Republicans have been grumbling and rumbling about the fact that Paul Pelosi, her husband, supposedly is benefiting from insider information with regard to the stock market. As you know, they're a very affluent family. It wouldn't surprise me at all if she's subject to indictment. So why should she go and kiss the ring, like Jeff Bezos, for example, who has given $40 million to Amazon Prime for this vanity documentary about Melania Trump.
Oh my gosh, what a move that was, right? Is that laundering money? Is Amazon Prime laundering donations to the Trump family through a documentary? Like, what is happening?
Well, I mean, the corruption, it stinks to high heaven.
Yeah.
You know that Mr. Trump is suing CBS, which is part of Paramount. Paramount is thinking about settling the suit because, of course, they do a lot of business that is regulated by the government, and they feel that their sell to the son of Lawrence Ellison, aforementioned, will be scuttled by the Justice Department if they don't settle this lawsuit that Mr. Trump has brought against CBS, which, of course, is part of the Paramount family. And so it's just dizzying, the amount of corruption. But once again, I think that it opens up opportunities for us to take advantage of these knife fights that will be inevitably occurring at the highest level of U.S. society.
And let's not forget ABC already gave him $15 million. Everyone seems to be running scared, kissing the ring, changing their attitude. Not everybody, but a lot of people, including media persons. You can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it. Those that were already drifting to the right are running further over, people like Bill Maher. Those networks like CNN that were already moving in that direction seem to have picked up the pace in, going out of their way to praise and bow down to the president-elect.
And, of course, preemptively, the leader of MSNBC, Rashida Jones, a black woman, she resigned just a few days ago. I thought that was a very disturbing and troubling sign because MSNBC is having ratings difficulties, shall we say, which has caused Rachel Maddow to come back from her sort of semi-vacation to be on board for 5 days a week, of all things.
Yeah.
Justifying her multi-million-dollar salary.
Yeah, for the first 100 days at least. We shall see. We're talking with Dr. Gerald Horne. We got so much to cover. When we come forward, I want to get your take on this Biden move around the Equal Rights Amendment. Does it really mean anything? I'm confused. KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant addiction. They can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. This holiday season, choose treatment and recovery, embrace the company of family and friends, and create special moments. Find a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org.
Here they come, y'all, here they come. Here they come, y'all, here they come. Get out the way, move. First things first with Dominique DiPrima at 6 a.m. Tavis Smiley at 9 a.m. Truth Time with Dr. Cornell West and Nina Turner at 12 noon. Here they come, y'all, here they come. Here they come, y'all, here they come. Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show at 1 p.m. The D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show at 2 p.m. A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nee Quarterly Quartet at 4 p.m. Here they come, y'all, here they come. Here they come, y'all, here they come. Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way. Tune in weekdays from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the talk of the town. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about. Here they come, y'all. Here they come.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Be heard. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Gerald Horne is my guest. Dr. Horne will always have the Pan-African Film Festival. At least I hope we always will. That's coming up soon, so hopefully we'll get to see you. I know you typically do attend that event here in LA.
Oh, sure. I'm looking forward to it. I believe it begins on February 4th, a few weeks from today. I was worried that it might be canceled because of the wildfires or even postponed, which would have wrecked my attendance. But apparently it's on schedule.
Yeah, well, because it's taking place in South LA and Culver City, which is not, I mean, we're impacted. The smoke is bad and such, but there's no burning over here. I think they're moving forward with it, and it's longer than ever. It's going all the way through close to the end of the month, so it'll be quite an extravaganza this year. So explain to me what Biden's move was with the Equal Rights Amendment. He now says that it's the law of the land. It's met the criteria for us to have equal protection under the Constitution for women, but some folks say that's just not even true.
It is sort of a head-scratcher. He had been pressured by the feminist community to say what he just said in light of the fact that the Equal Rights Amendment had surmounted the constitutional hurdles in terms of having a supermajority of states vote in favor of it. But there's one last hurdle to overcome, which is for the National Archives to put its rubber stamp, its seal of approval on it. That has not taken place, which means that the Equal Rights Amendment is in a kind of constitutional limbo, and do not expect the 47th U.S. president to move forward to effectuate it further.
So could Biden, if he would have started on this, say, a year ago, could that have actually happened, do you think? Or, or is this just more of a symbolic on the way out the door thing?
I think it's a bit of both. I think that, like some of these pardons, such as Anthony Fauci or Marcus Garvey, for example, that it should have happened earlier. I'm thinking of taking Cuba off the so-called terrorist list. That could have happened earlier. And likewise, with regard to the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, there could have been more clarity constitutionally if he had done it sooner than the day before he leaves office.
Yeah. Well, okay. Got it. What about a lot of us, and I'm including myself in this, are very, very disappointed in Snoop Dogg. I mean, I can't say expect any different from Rick Ross. Nelly, even though he gave us a hip-hop word salad to explain his participation, to me it's given broke rapper, so I get that. Soulja Boy, yeah, okay, I get it. No one bought your your console, your gaming console. Maybe you need a check. But still, all money ain't good money. Are we being unfair to cancel Uncle Snoop, especially after he was railing against Trump and now does a really whack performance where he's his own DJ on Friday night at the crypto ball?
No, I think it should call for a more sober evaluation of these rappers, realizing that they're entertainers, they're not political figures, they're not leaders, even though some would like to think they are. Oftentimes, as we have just seen, they're just money grubbers who are quite comfortable in the Trump inner circle. And perhaps we should be looking for leadership and looking for symbolic leadership elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. But even as entertainers, I think about Paul Robeson. I think, you know what I mean? I think about Harry Belafonte. I think about Aretha Franklin. I just think even as entertainers, I don't expect you to be a political leader, but I don't expect you to, as many said, show up at a KKK rally with your little, with your little hood on.
Well, I think we should vote with our pocketbooks. We should be rather reluctant to stream the music of some of these folks. Ask them to get the Trump team to stream their music, for example. I think that would be an appropriate response and an appropriate rebuke.
Yeah, I can see your point. And by the way, one of the reasons I mentioned Bill Maher, other than the positions, the very kind of vituperatively Zionist positions that he's been taking on his show since October 7th of 2023, is that he this weekend had Rick Caruso on the show, down talking Mayor Karen Bass and down talking LA and our governor here in a way that was actually fact-free, or low on facts, I should say, and high on sort of opinions. I always think it's nice when you can get both facts and opinions together.
Well, folks in L.A., I hope that they're following the news. Just in the New York Times this morning, there's an article about this election of 2028 when L.A. County will be electing an all-powerful chief executive who in many ways will be above the mayor in the pecking order. And obviously, Rick Caruso and others of that ilk have their eyes on that powerful position. So get ready.
Yeah, I mean, even that article in the Washington Post about our preparedness says neighboring L.A. County. L.A. County is not neighboring. L.A. City is inside of L.A. County. And I've been very alarmed about that development of an elected county CEO because it can also slow down anything getting done, and the county is already too ginormous.
Well, sure. And I think that in light of this bludgeoning of Mayor Bass, her chances for re-election, if she chooses to pursue that, are going to be reduced. Obviously, there is an effort to drive her out of office. There is an effort to wreck her political career. And Mr. Caruso being on HBO just this past weekend gives further evidence to that proposition.
Yeah, it's funny how these white guys are just coalescing. Dr. Horne, let's end on an MLK note, something you want to share this morning about Dr. King, because as my friend just sent me a meme, in my house we're celebrating a king, not a felon on this day.
Well, Dr. King was an internationalist. Recall not only his speech April 1967, a scant year before he was murdered, coming out against the war in Vietnam. A few years before that, he had met at the United Nations with Ben Bella, the leader of the successful revolt against French colonial rule in Algeria. And I think that internationalism will hold us in good stead going forward, because once again, the contradictions of Trumpism is that with his telling the so-called allies that the United States will no longer be a guarantor for their foreign interests, what you see in the Sahel, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, is that Canadian mining executives have been detained unless and until their companies cough up millions of dollars into the treasuries of these African countries, and they have been coughing up this money because they think that they cannot rely upon the United States under Mr. Trump to bail them out. We need to be internationalists in order to take advantage of these new changes in the international system.
Be like Dr. King.
Absolutely.
Dr. Gerald Horne, it's always enlightening to talk with you, and I'd encourage everyone to go get his books. They are numerous, and you can find them on Amazon, if you're still on Amazon, or at your local black bookstore. Dr. Horne, appreciate you always.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, we've got our Mindful Monday. Let's get it together on this doomsday, and then we're taking your phone calls. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Donald Trump will be sworn